Okay, welcome back to MacBook Air Gaming. This is episode 7. Today we're going to be looking at the demo version of Just Cause 2. I don't own this one. What I've played of it doesn't really lead me to want to own it all that much, but it's an open world game and we haven't really seen much of that in the previous episode, so I thought it would be worth taking a look at. And I won't deny that it's got its own sort of fun to it. I just find it's fun to be a little short-lived. So we're going to start demo. I poked around with this one a little bit just a few minutes before I sat down to record, and it's interesting. Oh crap. I have to sit through the opening cinematic again. And we're back. So we're in the high 20s in a fairly contained area with no enemies or effects on screen. You can see why I'm concerned. Low 30s, 33, 34. Okay, that's not too bad. It feels okay through here, even when it was kicking down a bit. Kind of similar to Borderlands. As far as smoothness goes, I think I said during that video that 24, 25 is about as low as I like to see for a offline first-person shooter, and this is third-person, but the gameplay is similar enough that I would probably set the same standard. So if we see performance like this in more open areas or when there's a lot going on, I would be perfectly content with that. A little hiccup down to the teens. It recovered pretty quickly. Use the grappling hook. Okay. Well, let's see what happens when we use the parachute. We're going to run off the edge here. We're at 32, 33, 35, 27. It's really not awful. Let's see if we can find a populated area. Get ourselves in trouble. 26, 25 when we're having to look at a lot. Oh, so it dropped down to 19. As I've said in some of the other games, if I didn't have the number in the corner, I really wouldn't know that the frame rate was that low. Whee! Okay, 23. Let's see if we can get ourselves down. Okay. And nothing says badass commando like a motor scooter. And we're back to it. Floating around. Here, let's take a look at the settings that I'm using. Played around with this a little bit. Skip over display settings, go straight to advanced display settings. I have everything turned down as low as I can make it. And I'm not seeing hugely different performance than I was seeing with the default settings, which tells me that much like with Mass Effect 2, the bottleneck for this game seems to be with something that isn't represented in one of these settings. Just to play around with that, we were seeing previously anything from the low 30s all the way down to the high teens in frame rate. I want to see what happens if we turn some of these things up. Okay, so what we've done is we've set the texture detail to high, Shadows are still at low. Anti-aliasing is 2x, which is as low as it will actually let us set it. Anisotropic filtering, 2x. Similarly, oh sorry, anti-aliasing can be turned off, and we're going to do that. Anisotropic filtering only goes down to 2x. For some reason my mouse pointer isn't quite lining up with these buttons. Water detail is low, object detail up to medium, decals off, soft particles on, VSync off, high-res shadows off, SSAO, I don't know what SSAO is, off. Point light spectacular, lovely. Point light specular off. The bokeh filter, that's the same thing as depth of field. We're going to turn that on. I was noticing that even with it off, there's still some depth of field effects in the extreme background. So I'm kind of curious to see what this does. Enhanced water detail off. Going to accept changes. Must be restarted. It doesn't do a real restart. It kind of restarts in the background. And then lets us resume from where we were. See, we're at 30, 31, 24, 25, 26. It's a little bit prettier than it was, but not really any slower. So wherever the bottleneck is for this game, it's someplace else. So we're still in the mid-20s to low 30s range, but I'm also not looking at a whole heck of a lot right now. Okay, we dropped down to the teens right as I landed. It felt fine though. I really didn't notice the hiccup in the gameplay. You know what, I might get this game. I don't know that I would ever bother to play through the missions, but if I found it on sale, left alt. Which one is the alt on Mac? I can never remember. Apparently not that one. I could probably have, I don't know, $10 or $15 worth of fun with this. Just running around and wreaking havoc. I kind of like the parachute bits. Looks like that 19 to 20 range is about as low as we're going to get until we die, then it drops down a bit more. That's marginal. Those numbers make me a little nervous because I imagine that I could get myself into situations in this game where there's going to be a lot more than that going on, and I'm kind of curious just how low it might drop. But at the same time, what I'm actually seeing is, while not super impressive, I could probably live with it. I would potentially play that on this machine and not go totally nuts. But that's as close as we've come to a failure yet. And I do want to stress that this is the demo version. A lot of times demos will not get updated in the same way that the real titles do, so that the actual games run better than the demo does, especially this far after release, because this game has been out for, what, 9 or 10 months at this point? I don't know if that's the case with Just Cause 2 or not, but it's something to to keep in mind. Sometimes the demo version just isn't optimized. It's based on old code. But so that's going to be our Just Cause 2 demo for MacBook Air Gaming. Tune in next time. We're going to do 3 short games. We're going to have a PopCap Spectacular. Going to look at, what are we doing? Plants vs. Zombies, Bejeweled 3, and the Bookworm game, Bookworm Adventures 2.